Hi everyone and Happy New Year's. So today I will be showing you all how to make the African stew with vegetable. And I know you guys saying, well, vegetable, I don't see any mixed vegetable in there. Well, when you say vegetables, it means spinach. The meats I got was some lamb cut up in cubes, and then also I have 2 packs of smoked turkey wings. Now you can use whatever meat you want in this recipe. It's very unlimited. And then I'm going to take my smoked turkey wings and boil them for about 10 minutes to get like the first layer of stuff off. And then I'm going to put it right in my Instapot for about 20-25 minutes. For after 10 minutes, this is the stuff that comes off, so that's why I like to boil mine for about 10 minutes before I actually cook the meat. And now here is my smoked turkey wings that's rinsed off, and now I'm about to put it in my Instapot for about 20-25 minutes. And guys, I like for all of my meat to be tender, falling off the bone, but when you're making this stew, you do not want your meat falling off the bone, and that's the whole purpose of making it a stew, because you want the meat or either fish to withhold in a stew so it won't break apart. And you don't want to overcook it because you need to be able to see what pieces of meat you have in your stew. So into my pot for my smoked turkey wings, I'm going to put just a little onion and just a little red bell pepper. Now this part is optional, you really don't have to do it. Then I'm going to put some Southern Blend poultry seasoning in there. This seasoning you don't have to use, but I wanted to use it anyway. But your seasoning is unlimited. And then I'm going to put just a little chicken bouillon flavor in there. And like I said, you don't have to use these seasoning at all. I just wanted to use it because I just did. But whatever seasoning you want is optional. So on this part, you're going to see me putting it on 30 minutes, but I actually took it out like around the 23rd minute mark. So while the smoked turkey wings are cooking, I took my lamb meat, washed it, and then I'm going to let that cook for about an hour, hour and a half. You can choose whatever meat you want in this recipe. I was going to choose some goat's meat, but I wanted some lamb this time. The only seasoning I put on the lamb meat was a little beef bouillon cube. That's all, because when it's in a stew, it's going to add more flavor to it. So while all the meat is cooking, now you can prepare your sauce. I have here some tomato paste, some Maggi cubes. Those are optional. The Maggi cubes come in the bag like that. It's like seasoning. An onion, red bell pepper, and some Roman tomatoes. So all together, I blended a half a large onion, 5 Roman tomatoes, and 1.5 large red bell pepper. And all these, the measurements I'm giving you all is optional. Sometimes you may like just tomatoes and just a little onion. Sometimes you may just like all bell peppers. Once you start making this recipe, it'll be different every time you do it. And now I'm adding the Maggi cubes. I like to blend my Maggi cubes in the blender because sometimes they be hard. Even though they supposed to be where you open it, it'll come out as powdery. Now these are optionals also. The Scotch bonnet, I'm gonna put in 2.5, no, 2 big and 1 small Scotch bonnet. The colors really don't matter, but since the sauce is gonna be red, I'm gonna use the red Scotch bonnet. Remember, these Scotch bonnets is very, very hot, spicy, fire, whatever you want to call it. So be careful with the Scotch bonnets. So whatever you blend up, get an extra big bowl and just transfer everything over. I'm going to do this blending in 2 takes. So I'm going to blend the rest of my tomatoes and everything up. And here I'm going to put 2 tablespoonfuls of tomato paste. I like to blend everything together. You don't have to blend it together, but this is what I like to do so I can keep everything under control. The reason it looks like it's 2 different colors because the first batch that I blended had the Maggi cubes in it and it was kind of dark, so that's why. So right here, this is like 16 ounces of spinach. You can put as little or as much spinach you want in there, or either none at all. So I'm gonna do the chopped spinach really, really quick. I'm gonna put it all into 1 big bowl, put a little water on there, and then put it in the microwave. It does not have to be cooked all the way because you're gonna finish cooking it and the stew when you start making the stew. And then guys, you know what? I had thought about it, so this time I wanted my stew just a little chunky, so I chopped up 2 additional Roma tomatoes and I chopped up the other half of onion. You don't have to do this, but this is what I wanted to do. So for the spinach, I'm going to drain it as good as I can and squeeze all the water up out of it because I do not want no water in my stew. So this is very important. All your bowls should be dry as possible. Sorry about that. You want your bowls to be dry as possible with no water in contact. So take your spinach, and I placed the strainer over a small plate. Anyway, take clean hands and squeeze all the water out the spinach as much as you can, because remember, you don't want all that water in your stew. If it is, it's going to be so soupy. So try to drain most of the water out the spinach. So this is how your spinach should look after you squeeze all the water out of it. And here goes my meat, my lamb meat and my smoked turkey wings. That has been drained. Remember, you don't want a lot of water in your food. So these are all the 4 things I'm going to put in my stew. Now usually you'll probably see it be the meat and the red stew, that's it. But I wanted to put the vegetable in there and make mine chunky, which I added the onion and the tomato. Like I said, this part is optional. You really don't have to do that because all that could have been blended with the stew, but I want mine to be chunky. And remember, this is optional too, the vegetable. And when you do the vegetable, make sure it is drained and squeezed very, very well. So I'm taking my pot to let it get real hot. And to it, I'm going to add maybe like almost a cup of vegetable oil, which is better. And then I'm going to add some palm oil. Now, If you do not know how to cook with palm oil, the red oil, then please do not use it. You have to know what you're doing with this oil, and you have to have a taste for it in order to use it. I've been using it for a long time, so I know how to use it. Other than that, please just stick with vegetable oil and you'll be okay. Now with the palm oil, I put let me see, like a third cup of palm oil in the pan. And I'm gonna let my oils get very, very hot. I let it cook for like 15 minutes before I added my tomato and onion. And once again, this is all optional. And at this point also, I'm going to add my spinach. Guys, this recipe is a long process and it can get a little out of hand, so you're going to do a lot of wiping and stuff. All the seasons are optional. This right here is your go-to seasoning. If you don't have nothing else, please at least have this. And that is chicken bouillon cube. I'm going to add some garlic powder. Once again, you can add whatever seasoning you want in your stuff. And make sure you taste as you go so it won't be over salty. I'm going to put some complete seasoning in here. Your choice. You don't have to use that. And I'm also going to put in some crayfish, dried crayfish. Now this is optional also. You don't have to put this in there, and you can put a little or a lot in there. I'm used to using it in my food. You may not, and you may like it, but it is good. And here I'm going to put in some beef bouillon cube. I only put just a little bit of that all-purpose seasoning in there, but the main point is that, do you see how the tomato stew and the spinach cook down? So this is the way I like mine sometime. And now here I'm just putting in all the meats. So I have lamb meat and smoked turkey wings. And you can put so many meats in your stew. It's like you can put like anything in there. So I let my stew cook down for about an hour before I added the meat. And after I add the meat, I'm gonna let it cook down for another maybe 15-20 minutes and turn it off and just let it sit. After adding all the meat, then you want to stir everything up and let it cook for about 15-20 minutes. So guys, when you're making this dish, you can pair this with anything. You can eat it with gari, powdered potato, rice. I eat mine with mashed potatoes and rice. I know some of you are going to say, oh, that's a lot of oil right there. Why you have all that oil? But if you think it's too much oil, just take a spoon and take some oil out. No, it's not a lot of oil, but for some people, it will be like that. So in the future, I will show you all how to cook this. Maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 ways to make it. And leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe, and let me know what do you think. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.